Hello, Gravitrons. I'm More Gravity. Let's play chess. All right. Game I played. I finished this game maybe 5 minutes ago. Uh, my first win of the day, and you can see here that it's rather accurate. 88 to 71%, or 88 to 71 said better. And this game was played with time controls. Game in 3 minutes. So you see at 2 minutes 59 seconds. I guess uh, is a way of being conservative about the time controls and how they're presented. And I'm focused on my opponent's play was good, not great, but good. And my play was closer to great, but still also I'd say good. Had this one miss in a critical juncture. Whoops, there it goes. Had this one miss in a critical point, but was able to recover from it anyway. So I think there's still a lot to learn from going over this game. Um, so here we go. I had the black pieces. This is a blitz. There's a blitz time setting at 3 minutes per side, and also queen to h5 in a king's pawn open game. Is this? It's an attempt by white to completely break black. To not just black though. If white can win as a result of queen to h5, then the entire idea of chess has been shattered. There's no right. We know this looking at the board. There's no way you would compose a game where on the second move, queen to h5 actually wins outright. And so we see there are a couple ways for black to respond, or a few ways. We could play knight c6, covering the pawn. I'd rather not play pawn to d6 because it's a concession and it's not a very helpful move. And maybe pawn to d6. We'll include it. Knight to c6, pawn to d6, queen to f6, covering the important f7 square, which white plans to attack and dominate. And now that square is covered twice, the attack is, for the time being, thwarted. And with queen to e7, same idea, cover the f7 square twice. And some of our thinkers out there might think, well, knight to h6 covers this. I know, knights on the edge aren't that great. And you're right. And this would be a good move, except for maybe d4, or after the bishop has moved, after the light squared bishop has moved, d3. And then this knight can be captured by a piece off of his starting square. I would recapture on g6, or I would capture with g7 rather on h6, and black would not be doing very well, and in some situations would actually have the threat of mate on f7. We don't want that when it's white's turn to move, especially. So, knight to h6 to be avoided in this early queen h5 test against black. Do not go for knight h6. I do not recommend it. I'm holding my breath, hoping this is not one of the moves that, Torch doesn't recommend it, and that's because it's a bad move. It's a good thought, a different way to protect f7, but it's not good. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Anyway, we're not quite there yet. Now we're at knight to c6 is fine, protecting the vulnerable e5 square and forcing white to actually commit to the checkmating threat idea on f7 before responding. Is that really as aggressive as my opponent's going to get with bishop c4, which is a fine move, by the way, and this early test against black must now be paid attention to very carefully. We have moves like g6 are okay. The g6 will do. In fact, Torch recommends it. I like queen e7 or queen f6, and the idea to just have double protection on the f7 pawn. G6 works to both attack white's queen and block the attack on f7. All right, so black is doing fine here. No need to get too worried. We see that g6 is offered by Torch 4, and queen e7 is considered very good, or excellent, and queen f6 might still be within the excellent band of things, maybe within the good band of things. Those two moves, those three moves are your go-tos. Knight h6 is the last of the moves that addresses the idea on f7. You see that d5 is sort of a different way. Give up a full pawn to address the idea in the same manner the next move over. So it's, you know, relatedly a little bit more than a pawn worse than the move that's one better than it. Okay, I chose queen e7. Part of the reason is, like I said, f7's covered, but also black will usually play knight f6 soon and get to develop with tempo. Plus, white has to place his queen carefully. There's pressure on e4. A lot of things are going well here for black. Knight to f3. It's just a move. It's not the end of the world. There's a lot of moves here that are open to black to or open to white to maintain this game as almost even. So this is a move. It's not so bad. And then when we play knight to f6, we're developing with tempo, and this is good for black. I took time out to play h6. We see here my opponent exposes that move. No, he doesn't. My opponent tries knight g5, and some slower moves were more in white's favor. Pawn to h6 is because this g5 square is important already. If the queen and the knight and the bishop wants this pawn move somewhere, they all want to stage an attack against black off of g5, right? Maybe with a battery, queen at h4 pawn, or queen at h4 bishop on g5. And my opponent has already showed herself or himself to be an attacking player, like enjoying early attacks. So I thought just in a Karpovian way to play h6 would cut out this attack. Knight to g5 makes things difficult to see tactically. It's, as Torch indicates, a bad move. And here we see that d5 throws white through a loop in return, and it's the only good move. And I did not find that move. d5 here is the correct move. Instead, knight to h7. It still has the idea of exposing the fact that this knight is pinned. Right? The relief comes from knight to f3, where the pin is gone because the queen is exposed, but the knight himself can collect my queen in return. So it's just an even trade, and black is ahead in development. Maybe has some pot shots against c2 or however it is from there. But instead, knight takes f7. You know, trying to get maybe me. If white's trying to catch black looking, with queen takes f7, bishop takes f7, king takes f7, and I'll be down in material to the tune of a queen for two minor pieces. That was one idea, except that knight was truly pinned in the forward direction, in white's forward direction. Queen takes h4. And black is doing so very well. A lot of points of extra material, more active pieces, targets to the queen's left, targets to the queen's right, a pinned piece straight ahead, a knight that could or couldn't have, that might or might not have difficulty escaping from h8 if it comes to be that as a priority, and better development. You know, this is completely done. So I chose to go for overwhelming force to tie this game up. Here's even a pawn and a exchange for the better for black as well, and trading equal value pieces. And the game is quickly going to come to a conclusion here. Kind of cute, with the queen delivering checkmate all by herself because of the stack of white pawns. Not quite back rank checkmate because a rook can't can't do a checkmate from here in this position. Swap this queen for a rook. This is not back rank checkmate. The king will simply move to d2 and not be mated, at least not yet. The queen, this is a good pattern to learn. It's often in pretty much this situation. Let's even, the queen covers the only would-be escape square. Other than that, it's kind of like a back rank checkmate as white is trying to walk through his or her own pawns. But the queen won't let that. Oh, well, no, but the pawns are there, and he can't move to b1. The line of attack simply continues. He's in check for sure. d1 is directly there, and now that she's the queen, and only the queen to deliver this thematic pattern, or this checkmating pattern, that she covers d2. So that's it. That was the game. Fun game. I'm gonna look over the key. The key moment was really here. I am instructed by Torch to say that h6 wasn't that great a move. Yeah. What Torch has for us instead was maybe we're being instructed here. d5 and g5 are both good. So as we'll take a look at these. g5. g5 is some kind of mistake here now. Well, anyway, my apologies. We saw that, let's keep h6 here, and we saw that knight to g5 wasn't quite as bright of a pin on my pawn as it turned out to be a pin on my opponent's knight, and even that wasn't exactly right. This moves 5, 6, and 7 were not all that accurate. The rest of the game was probably pretty straightforward, and clearly black is just playing for overwhelming force, finding pieces to bully on, and going for it. In a chess game, that's fine. In real life, don't bully. All right. So we trade equal material, and we find this situation that white cannot defend. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm More Gravity. Have a great night.